Hello guys. I'm Abral Verma, and with me there's one person on Skype, Rajat. Hi Rajat.
Hi, Avidan.
Yeah. So today we're going to create an Amazon Alexa skill, and I'll be using Amazon Web Services for that. So the first step to create an Amazon Alexa skill is to register for Amazon Alexa developer account and also the AWS account. So let's start. So first of all, you have to go into the Alexa console. Just click on Alexa. And just click on this Your Alexa dashboard. Okay, here you will find two options. One is the Alexa Skill Kit and other is the Alexa Voice Service. The difference between the Alexa Kit and Alexa Voice Service is that Skill Kit is basically creating an application for Alexa, and the Alexa Voice Service is basically if you want to deploy your Alexa voice services on any of your development boards such as Raspberry Pi or BeagleBones. In that case, you use Alexa Voice Services. So we will be creating Alexa skills. So just click on Get Started. So as you can see here, I have already published two skill, and I'll be creating one basic skill to create to just give two numbers to Alexa and perform some operations like addition, subtraction, multiplication, or division. It will be a very small and simple skill just to get to know how we create a basic skill on Alexa. To create a new skill, just click on Add a new skill. Okay, the first option which you're gonna see is the skill type. The one we are going to create is the custom interaction model. The other are like smart home skill API. This is for creating smart home appliance. This is for controlling your smart home appliances. And the difference between a custom interaction model and a smart home skill API is that you don't need any custom interaction word in smart home skill. You can directly command Alexa to control any device such as Alexa turn on the bulb or Alexa turn on the fan. You don't have to use any specific word to to specify a particular application. So we will be creating custom interaction model. So we have to specify a specific word, and when somebody is going to call that particular word to Alexa, then Alexa is get to know, okay, this is the particular skill you want to contact, and according to it, it will send your response to Alexa and forward it to your particular skill. Okay, so we'll be using English India, and let's give it a name as basic. Okay, that's fine. And we're gonna use it. The invocation name is gonna be calc. That's it. Do you think that will it be recognized by Alexa, or should we give another name?
I think so. We should give it as calculator.
Okay. Or just some simple word, one word. Any ideas?
In single word. No, let's give it calculator only.
Fine.
Yeah, fine.
Okay. So just click on save. And now once you have saved it, now you cannot change the skill type. It is registered as a custom skill now. Now, once this thing is done, the next step is to create an interaction model. But before we start the interaction model, we have to configure our AWS Lambda functions. There's a big difference between AWS Lambda functions and normal Node.js application. First, let me log into AWS Lambda. And at this page, just go select Amazon Web Services. Now, whenever if you are the first person to log in into AWS, then you have to go through a setup process or sign up process, and you have to give credentials of your debit card or credit card. And if you opt for free plan, they will not going to charge you, but they're gonna verify your credit card. For that, they will make a small transaction, which you will get back after 2 to 3 days. Since I have already done all this process, I will just sign into the console. All right, from here you have to select the particular service. I'll be using Lambda here. Okay, here you can see I've already created a function which is known as spin a bottle, and also which this function is linked with the particular skill which I've already shown you previously. Let's create a new function.
So Aviral,
And
my question is, are these
yes.
services provided freely to the developers by Amazon?
Yes, if you are using Lambda, it will be free of cost. If you are creating your own instance as a Linux server, if you're getting a server on AWS, they will charge you. And I think it depends on your what is the configuration of your instance. They will charge you accordingly.
Okay, go ahead.
Sure. So here you can either create a function right from scratch, or if you are a beginner, I would really suggest to go through a blueprint. So select this blueprint option and type Alexa here. So if you get a blueprint, they will provide you with you the skill will be already be loaded with some modules which supports Alexa. So I'll select this and give it a name. Let me give it same name. Okay, now here you have to choose create a custom role. Now this is a management console. Basically, it is for giving a particular user access, and all you need to do is select this IAM role and Lambda basic execution and click on allow. And in existing role, just select Lambda basic execution and create function. Now, if you scroll down, this is the place where you have to write all your codes. And if you go through this code, you can see that there's already in this Alexa SDK is included in the project. And this is because we have selected that particular blueprint. So the index.js is the main file where you write your own code, and package.json is the file where if you want to add new packages or include new packages to your project, just you keep on adding the dependencies into this package.json. Now this is a small application which is came as a default by Amazon Lambda when you select the Alexa SDK. Now I'll remove this few things and we modify it to create our own function. Let me remove few things. I'll not be using this, and accordingly I'll remove Alexa resource. We don't need this as well. Okay, now let me save it. Now the next step is basically to sync this AWS function with the Alexa services which I have just now created here. So we will be working between these two tabs, and this one is for creating a skill, and this is the backend of that particular skill. So to link them, we need a few things. First of all, you should remember you should be on this North Virginia server. You should not be by default, you will be on Ohio server. So if you're on Ohio server, just delete your function right here and first change to North Virginia and then create a function. If you be on Ohio function, you'll not be getting any Alexa option over here. And if this is the case with you, you should change your server. Since I'm on North Virginia, I'll select Alexa skill kit. So here it will ask me for the skill ID. You can just go back to this tab, and in this particular tab you will find this application ID. Just copy this application ID and paste it here. Click on add and click on save. Okay, now this skill kit is included in your AWS Lambda. Now we have to register our this Lambda function in our skill also. So in order to do that, I'll copy this ARN number and I'll go to back to my skill, go to configuration, and here you select this first radio button. This which says AWS Lambda ARN. Now here you will find another option which is HTTPS. So if you are not using AWS Lambda and you are using your own server, like few people deploy their node application right onto the development board such as Raspberry Pi or BeagleBones, and they connect those ports to the static IP. So then in that case, if you want to directly give command from Alexa to your Raspberry Pi or BeagleBones, then you can use this option and you can type the URL of your particular board here. But remember one thing, that URL should be secured with HTTPS. It's not important that you opt any valid certificate, but it can be a self-signed certificate, but it should be a HTTPS link. It should not be HTTP link. And second, it should be deployed on port 443. You cannot use custom ports such as 8080 or 8081. It should be on port 443 and it should be secured. If these are the conditions not satisfied, you will not be getting any command from Alexa onto your Raspberry Pi. But since we are using AWS Lambda, I'll be selecting the first option and I'll be pasting my ARN number over here and click on save. So if you get any error over here also, then it means the same, you are still on Ohio or other servers, so you have to change it to North Virginia. Now since I didn't get any error, so it's successfully linked. Now I'll click on this interaction model and I'll go to launch skill builder, which is in beta phase right now. Alright, so in this particular skill builder, you will find two options. One is the intents and other is the slots. Now let me explain you what is the intent and what is the slots. Intents are basically, you can consider it as a command, or you can consider it as a function. So this function will be getting some values in the parameters. We usually create a function like that only. So these intents will be getting some values in the parameters, and this intents will then pass this values to our AWS Lambda functions. And slots are basically those parameters. So we'll tell Alexa, like somebody is going to give you two numbers in our case, and you have to take those inputs because somebody is going to say number 1 or number 2 or number 3. So what kind of input we are giving, we have to define them. So we define them in the slots. So for example, I said, okay, add 1 plus 2. So 1 and plus and 2, these are three values which we are going to give to the Alexa, and Alexa is going to transform them in the form of either number or either in the form of operations, and then forward it over AWS Lambda. And then using our Lambda services, we will process that particular request and send back response to the Alexa services. And when Alexa is going to get that response, the Alexa is going to respond back to the user. So here you can see in intents, we have already defined with this Amazon.cancel intent, help intent, and stop intent. And after that, it is return required. So if you create any skill, whether it's a small or a very big or very complicated, these are the three intents which has to be defined by a developer. If you don't define any of these skills and you have created your skill and you try to publish it, they will every time they're gonna go and reject your skill, because these are the most required skills, intents in your skill, and if you don't define them, they will not going to publish it. So let's start with the default only. So if somebody is going to say cancel intent, or somebody's called your skill and say cancel, then it will be the request will come here in this particular handlers. In this handlers, you can see we have these three intents already defined: help intent, cancel intent, and stop intent. So if somebody say cancel, this the things that you are going to write within this particular cancel intent is going to be called by that particular Alexa over AWS. And if there's nothing, like if somebody calls our skill and says anything and it's not matching to any of the intents which you have defined here, then it will by default come to the launch request. Okay, so let's start. And also launch request handles those requests which is called by a user when somebody is going to launch our skill also. So if somebody is going to launch our skill, the user is going to say to Alexa, like open calculator in our case. And whenever somebody is going to say open calculator, this particular thing will be called, or this particular intent will be called here. So here we have to do some process and reply back to Alexa. And in order to do that, we have two things. One is known as tell, which you can see here, and the other thing is ask. Tell and ask are the two different type of responses that we can give to Alexa. Let me show you, and then after that I'll explain you. So in launch request, let's say for now I'm using this tell response, and I'm going to copy write a message as sorry. Hello, welcome to calculator. So this is the response that Alexa is going to give if somebody is going to ask her about like just to open that particular skill. So I click on save. Okay, there's few more skills which we don't need, so I'll just remove them. These are the default they provide when we add a blueprint. We don't need this also, so I'll remove them. Comment this out. Okay, and click on save. Okay, but just to build this, if you try to save it or we try to build this model, it will not going to build. It will say that at least we have to add one intent. So we're gonna add one simple intent, and we gonna name it as let's say operation intent. And for now, just keep it simple. Some user is going to say to an operation. Let's keep it simple for now, and I'm gonna save the model. I'm gonna try to build it again. Okay, now this time the model is building because we have added one intent. So we just copy this intent name, and I'm gonna add one more handler here, which is going to be operation. There we go. So, and one comma, I think. If somebody is going to say something like do an operation when they have opened our skill, then the request will come here. So click save. Okay, it says something missing sample addresses. At least one sample address is required when using create custom intent. Okay, so it is saying that we need a slots as well. So let's add a slot. Let's say we add a
Aviral, can you please describe about the slots? Give a
yeah.
brief description about the slots.
Sure. So slots is basically like if somebody is going to call your skill, and like in our case, somebody is going to say add number 1 to number 3. Okay, so the output is going to be 4, and add is some kind of an operation. So somebody can also say like subtract 1 from 3. Okay, so here add, subtract, multiply, divide, these things can value in a particular statement. So these are like the values one can give to our application, and these values should come in a variable. Okay, so this is known as slots. So this addition, subtraction, multiplication, these are variety of things that come in one particular variable. So this variable we call it as a slots. You get it? Ajay?
Yeah, Aviral, please go ahead.
Okay, so yeah, I'll explain it further. Just let me create one slot and then you'll get to know. So here the variable name is operation. You can see. I click on create slot type, and here are the values that gonna be this variable is going to store. So as I said, I'll add, let's add subtract. Let's add multiply and divide. So if somebody is going to call these words, then these words, I'm sorry, I think divide spelling is. If somebody is going to call these words, then it's going to be stored in this operation variable, and I'll receive it in our AWS Lambda function. Okay. So and second thing, we should not keep the slot and the intents name same. So I'll just add a s here in our intents name, and let's say somebody is going to say operation. So when you add a curly braces, the Alexa is going to know that here this is a variable. This is not. Let me first complete the sentence and then I'll show you. Add. I'll say number 1 as you can see, the operation is going to be the 4 types which we have defined, which is addition, multiplication, subtraction, and division. Somebody's going to say divide 3 to 1. So we're going to divide 3 with 1. That's what we're going to do. So we can, this thing, the first word, the second word, and the fourth word is going to vary in this statement. So these are the particular, like the variables, and these variables will be passed over Alexa skill. And first we have to define what kind of values they're going to store. So we just enter. You can see here in intent slots we got these 3 values as a form of a variable. Now we have to define what kind of values these variables going to store. So for operations, since we have already created one slot, we're going to select operation slot. So this is now Alexa is going to know that, okay, somebody says going to say this particular is going to open this particular intent. The first word is going to be a operation, and in this operation we will get only these 4 values. And if something differ from this particular 4 values, then Alexa is going to send back a error response, or it's gonna send us the error response, and we can reply the user accordingly. So let me go back to operations. Now second type is going to be a number. So there are few default types or slot types defined by Amazon. Like in this case we are using numbers, but like if you're getting a skill in which there's a requirement for getting a city name by a user. If somebody says a city name to Alexa, then we have to recognize them as a city name only. If they say some other city name, or there's some other name which is not a city, then Alexa is going to reply them the error. So we can define them as a city name also. So if you select this one, then instead of number 1, Alexa is going to only accept the city name. Second is the date, duration, first name, anything you can select. So we are using numbers here. I'll be using number. And the second one is also a number. Okay. So now we can just save the model. So now somebody is going to say add 1 to 5, then Alexa is going to recognize the operation. It will send us like there's a requirement of add operation, and the first number is 5 and the second number is 1. So we'll do the operation on our AWS Lambda function and reply them back. Okay, now let's create it. So I'll be taking some references from my old skill. So I'll just open. Right. So let me first run this much, and then I'll proceed from here. So just click on build model, and whatever we have done till now is going to build and going to be saved in our Amazon Alexa account. Now click skill information. Okay. To test this particular whatever we have created, there's 2 ways to test it. Either you install a simulator, Alexa simulator, either on your PC or on your phone, or there's one more tab which is test tab provided by Alexa itself to test this. So let the interaction model build first. Okay, now we can just enable this testing. Once you enable the testing, what's gonna happen is the account which is linked with this Alexa account. So the means my account on Amazon is a developer account. So as soon as I enable it, all the Alexa devices which is linked to my account is gonna have this skill available. Not everybody in this world, but all the devices which is linked to my Alexa account, whether it's Alexa device, Echo Dot, or any type of Echo devices, or any simulator to which I have linked my account, all the Alexa devices is going to have this particular skill activated right now. So to test it, I'll just first type open calculator. So you can see basically we are provided with two JSON. First is the request that we have sent to our application. Second is the response that we get from our AWS Lambda functions. So you can see what is the difference between them. You can see here in the request, it is saying us the launch request. The intent type is the launch request, and you can see it will be included with the intent type also here. Okay, since this is a launch request, it will come here to the launch request handler, and whatever we have written here, we're gonna respond them, hello, welcome to calculator. So it will come in this SSML, or if this is whatever is there in SSML, it's gonna be come out as a form of audio in Alexa devices. So Alexa is going to reply you as hello, welcome to calculator. That's what we have defined in our function. Okay, now let's get something in operations, and then we're gonna call them back. So I copy here and paste it. I'm gonna tell it like this is operation intent. So for now, just keep it simple, and I'm gonna do the testing again. Okay, let's go to Amazon App and Services, and now let's type add 1, 2, 5. So here add is going to be our first variable, which is the operation. The 1 is going to be number 1, and 5 is going to be number 2 variable. And I'm gonna click on ask basic calc. Okay, there's some error, I think. Okay, it's operations, not operation. We have changed the intent name. Okay, let's try again. Yes, this time it's working. So you can see the request here. It is saying that the intent that Alexa is going to call is operations, and the variables which I told you, the slots, is going to be filled with, as number 1 is going to be filled with the value 1, and number 2 is going to be filled with the value 5, and operation is going to be filled with the value add. So this is how, and these are the values going to post on our Lambda function. Since we have not done any operation, we are just keeping it simple for now. So our Lambda function is replying this is an operation intent. So that's what we have written here. Okay, now let's do some operations first. So let's say I want to get these values 1, 5 and operation values in our skill. In order to do that, we'll have to use this particular code. Yes, this one. So I'll be creating 3 variables where, let's say, operation. Let's keep it OP is equal to this dot event dot request dot intents dot slots. So it means in our request section, the JSON that you have seen here, this is what going to come in our request variable. In that we are opening the intent one. So in this full request, you can see we have in this request section, we have a child as intent, and in this intent we are opening the slots. So in this intent you can see we have a child as slots, and in the slots we are opening we are getting the values from operations. So we have to change this particular, so this is the variable which we want to access. So we'll copy this operation and just paste it here. So we will get this operation, and in this operation you can see the add is in this value child. So we'll be calling this particular value child here. So in this way we'll get this add value in OP variable. Get another variable as num1. Copy this, paste it here, and this time it will be, I think it's better to go and copy it from the request. So I'll be using this num1. show you that I got the actual values, I'll be writing some debug code over here. So operation is say, plus OP plus number 1 is 1 and number 2 is num2. Okay. So we're gonna reply this particular request to Alexa, and you can see this in our response section after we just click on save. So let me first check everything is correct. Yes. So click on save. And just go to test section and let's rerun this particular command. Okay, now you can see in response section the operation is add, the number 1 is 1 and the number 2 is 5. So now you can see, like, this is how we get the values from the user and send it to our Amazon Lambda. Now let's see in action. So what you can, for a simulator, if you don't have any Alexa devices with you, so for simulation you can go to this particular website. So okay, you can go to this ecosim.io, which is a simulation for Amazon Alexa. Just log in with Amazon. Okay, let me call this skill first. So I'm gonna say first open calculator. Okay, I think microphone will not work along with the Skype meeting. Okay, it's fine. For now, this meeting we'll be doing testing here only because microphone will not work in the two applications. Okay, now let's do some operation and reply back to the Alexa in this particular section. So we'll create a switch case over here, and we're gonna switch according to the operation. So if case it is add, we're gonna do some operation. I'm gonna add three more cases. Okay, we're gonna use add. Multiply, divide, and subtract. Okay, we're gonna do some operation, and default will be, let's say, doing addition only, which is not going to be called anyway because Alexa is going to handle everything. In add, we're gonna response them something. So I'll just cut this here. Paste it here. Now, first of all, we have, okay, let's do this. We can response them as the output or the result is something. So we write it as the result is, okay, we can declare one more variable, num3 result is equal to, let's say, 0 for now. Result equal to num1 plus num2. Okay, we have to parse int it. Because by default number is going to be a string. So if we write it, it will take us a string and it will concat the num1 with number2. Alright, so the result is going to be the result. So we copy this, we paste it here. In the first one we're gonna add, the second one we're gonna multiply, third we're gonna divide, and fourth one we're gonna subtract, and the default we're gonna do the addition as we have discussed. So after this, we'll just click save. Now I'll type add 1 to 5 and call this, and you can see the result is 6. So our lambda function is working correct. Let's say add few more things. We can say like 7 to 5, and you can see the result is 12. Let's say we divide 8 to 4. Okay, there's some. Okay, we have added it. Let's say we divide it.
Viral, do we have any test simulators for Android devices for testing our applications? Like if
Yes.
I don't have any Alexa, can I test it on my mobile phone?
Yes, you can do it actually. There's many application out there, and the best one which I know is the Reverb application. Let me show you the Play Store link for that.
Okay.
So, not this one. I'll just this application which you see, you'll find this on Amazon, Android Play Store, and you just install this application. And whatever testing I am doing by using text, you can call this particular application, and you can do the same testing using your voice commands. What is
Okay.
Rajat?
Okay, Viral.
Thank you. So let's proceed. Now you can see, and the result is 2, which is coming correctly. So our lambda function is working correctly. So now let me use the ask keyword here. So what the difference between ask and tell is, when you're gonna use tell, the Alexa is going to tell this particular statement, and it's gonna end the conversation right there only. But if you write ask, the Alexa is going to say this thing, and then it's gonna wait for the user's response. That's what ask is. So let's say if somebody is going to open my skill, and we are using this ask keyword over here, then our skill is going to respond, hello, welcome to calculator. How may I help you? So put a question mark. Remember, these punctuation marks are very important in Alexa, because if you put question marks, the sense, or the what we say, the accent of Alexa will be changed, or the sense of saying the statement will be changed by Alexa. So Alexa is going to say, how may I help you? Like she's going to ask you something. If you put a question, full stop over here, then Alexa is going to say as like she's going to say a statement. So keep this in mind. And this ask keyword is going to take one more statement, which is like if she asks something to the user and user didn't respond it, then she's going to say this statement one more time. So I'm going to type, please say again, and that's it. So let's save it, and I'm going to use this launch request once more. Calculator. Is it saved or not? Okay, it's saved. Okay, now you can see the response is a little bit changed here. So now what response is, the output speech is hello, welcome to calculator. How may I help you? And also there's a reprompt which tells Alexa that you have to ask this if user not going to respond you back. And also you can see this variable should end session is equal to false now. Now it means the session which is going on should not be ended after this particular response is done. So let me show you the previous one. Let me copy this, and I will control Z everything. Copy this. here, if you save this, and I rerun the test, you can see this end session is right now true. It means Alexa is going to know that, okay, this is the point, she has to end the session. So this is the difference between a tell and a ask response. So ask is going to continue your particular conversation, and tell is going to end right there only. So let me comment this one, and let's click save. So now what's going to happen is, if somebody is going to ask my particular skill, our skill is going to respond, hello, welcome to calculator, how may I help you? And please say that again. Now, one thing I already told in the beginning of the skill, when we have created the skill, that help intent, cancel intent, and stop intent should be defined by the developer in order to let that skill get passed. So what help intent is, if somebody is calling our particular skill, and in between any conversation the user is saying help, then at that point this intent will be called. So we can use here, and always remember, for publishing the skill, the help intent should be an ask keyword. It should not be a tell keyword. Means as soon as our skill is going to give the help instruction to the user, it should not end the conversation. So I'll be using here like this is a basic calculator, and reprompt is going to be should I continue? Should I continue? And the reprompt is going to be, please say that again. Okay, I'm gonna save it. Now come to the test, and let's say we type help here, and you can see now the response is, this is a basic calculator, should I continue? And the reprompt is, please say that again, and the should end session is again false. So it means in middle of the conversation, at any time, if user is going to say help, this particular response is going to be created by our Lambda function. In the same way, I'm gonna define this cancel. Cancel should always be a tell. It should not continue conversation, because cancel means the user wants to end the conversation right there. So I'll just say thank you. Thank you. See you soon. And similarly, the stop intent is the same thing as cancel intent. The only difference is the stop intent is not going to give means if somebody says stop in middle of a conversation, Alexa is not going to respond anything, whether you give tell or not. So stop intent is just like if you're doing any operations, like for example, there's a skill which is giving you the bank information, like how much amount you have in your bank account, or if you're doing any transaction using your voice, then there's a session which is created between the bank service and the particular other bank service. The two bank services also running along with the session which is running on Alexa. In that case, if somebody closes the Alexa skill conversation, then the bank should also disconnect their conversation or their connection between them. So in that case, if somebody says stop in the middle of the conversation, it means the Alexa conversation is over. So this particular intent will be called, so that the bank should stop the transaction right there only. So this is just to, we can say, wind up the particular operations that you are already going on. So here, let's say we use something like, there's no need to basically do anything. If there's anything that we will be doing in this conversation, then we'll put it here only. So click save, and let this thing get saved first. Okay, now let's say we type cancel. Okay, now you can see thank you, see you soon, and the should end session is true now. Now let's go and add few more things, small things that we can add in our interaction model. Now if you go to add, you will find that there add intent. In add intent, you will find there's two options here. One is create a new custom intent, and other one is use an existing intent from a built-in library. So this time I'm going to use this built-in library for intents. So as I've already told you, there are built-in slots like something like the city name, the number, or the first name, which is already created by Amazon. In the same way, Amazon also created few intents, which are the built-in intents. Let's say in many conversation, the reply is just like no or yes. In those scenarios, we can handle yes or no using this built-in intents. Just type yes over here, and you can see there's a one built-in intent by Amazon, which is yes intent. I'm gonna add it in our project, and no, which is here. Okay, I'm gonna select it and add two intents. Now these two intents are added, but these are not required intents. So if there's no requirement for yes or no in your conversation, you don't have to add it. So on clicking of no, what a user can say, I just add no, nah, nope, that's it. And yes, I can say like yeah, yo, and yes. Now click on save model, and I'm gonna build this model. Since I've used this, created these two intents, I'm gonna copy the name of this particular intents and add in our interaction model here. So how we gonna let the user come to this particular intent? We're gonna say the result, and after that we're gonna add one more statement, like anything else. We're gonna, instead of telling them, we're gonna ask them. And we're gonna add this particular statement at the end of each response. So after telling the result, Alexa is going to ask back anything else, and we gonna, a user can say yes, or a user can say no. So if they say yes, we're gonna ask them, okay, sure, tell me. Copy this. We're gonna ask the user, sure, tell me. And the reprompt, okay, we have to add reprompts here also. Please say that again. Okay, we're gonna add the reprompt in the above responses. Okay, so now what's gonna happen is like somebody say yes, Alexa is gonna reply back, sure, tell me. And if somebody say no, we have to end the conversation. So we'll just copy this cancel one and just paste it in the no intent. So if somebody say no, so Alexa is going to say thank you, see you soon. I'm gonna save it. Now this time I'm gonna run this particular, okay, just come out of, I just build this model first. And let me come out of this in. Okay, let this thing build. After that test, we can start the testing. Okay. Sure. Now what we can type is like add to. Now you can see the response is the result. Okay, there's some. I should not add full stop. Okay, now you can see the result is 5, and now Alex is asking anything else with the should session end is false now. So I will say yes, and she's gonna reply me sure tell me with should session end is false. I will say divide 8 to 4. I'm gonna ask her. She'll tell me the result, and she'll again going to ask anything else. I'll say no, and at this point the session will be ended with the should session end is equal to true. Now one last thing for this particular skill is like how we can carry on these particular values to other intents. Now for example, I want to create a scenario in which a user already have given an input. Instead of adding, now after adding they want to add to divide it. So I will get the output in this result, and I want to carry forward this result variable to other intents. So let's say, so how we can pass values from one intent to other is very simple process. What you have to do is you have to create an attribute, something like this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create an attribute as a result, and I'm going to set this value to result here. And I'm going to add one more intent. Let's save it here. So I'm going to open this interaction model and create one more intent. It's gonna be, let's say, continue operation. So I'm gonna create it. So in this particular intent, we will be using only two variables. One is the operation. So that will be like operation. So user is going to say, let's say we have already done an operation. Let's say 1 plus 5, add 1, 2, 3, so that the result will be 4, and then we're gonna say add 5 into it. So the first will be like operation add, and we're gonna second will be like number. So if somebody is going to say add 5 to it, it means we have to add 5 to the previous result that we got from the operation. So let's add this. Operation is going to be the operation slot, which we have already defined, and the number is going to be the number slot. Let's save the model and build the model. Okay, and just copy this intent name and add it here. So as we have already saved the value of this particular result, we'll perform the operations after this. So we'll just get this value in a result variable. So where result is equal to this, and we're gonna check if result not equal to undefined, then we get, it means somebody has directly called this intent. They have not done a previous operation and directly calling this particular intent. Then we're gonna respond them with some error. So in error, for error we will be doing some else. Okay, first let's complete this error part. We're gonna tell them, or we're gonna ask them that you have not given me the input. So we're gonna ask them like let's say okay, so we're gonna ask them like tell me the numbers first. So user is going to say, okay, add 5 to 4 or something like that. And if it's gonna be coming here, then we're gonna be doing the next operation. So we will be getting we'll just copy this from here and paste it here. Let me see. It is operation, and the second one is just the number. So instead of getting number 1, we will be getting just the number here. Let's save it. Now we'll be using the same switch case here also. Instead of using result, we'll just like type number 2, and here we'll be getting number 1. Keep the switch case as similar as the above one. Okay. Now according to operation, we'll be getting result. Okay, we have to declare the result also. So type var result is equal to 0. I think everything looks okay. And after that, we're gonna save. Again, we're gonna update this particular attribute. Is this one? Okay. Copy this. Paste it here. It's equal to result. Okay. And let's say somebody stopped the particular interaction or conversation. We're gonna set this to 0. And also we're gonna do the same thing just after no intent and cancel intent. We can save this. All right. Okay, let's test this thing. Let's go, just wait for this model to build. Now let's go to test. Now let's start the conversation from the beginning. First we'll say open calculator. Users, the Alexa is going to respond that hello, welcome to calculator. How may I help you? I'll say add 2 to 5, and I'm gonna ask. She's gonna say the result is 7. Anything else? I'll say add 5 to 8. Okay, there's some error here. Let me check the model. Correct here. Okay, I have to add this full. I have added this full stop. I'm gonna save the model, build the model. Let's go to test and let's type open calculator. Okay, we're gonna type add 2 to 5. And now we're gonna say add 5 to 8. Okay, I'm still getting some error. Okay, the problem is this one. Actually, instead of checking result, I should check num2. Let me rerun this. Okay, now it is coming. Tell me the number first. So I'm gonna say add 5 to 3. And add 5 to it. Okay, this is still some error. Okay, so what the error is basically when we write this tell or ask command, response, whatever we're gonna say, pass it to the other intents, those values should be saved before we do any ask or tell response. So if you do this thing after the ask or tell response, you can see that now since I have added it before saying it to the Alexa, this session attributes is created. Session attributes is basically like the variables which you are passing from one intent to other intents. Now let me test it. So right now it's in testing phase, so I'll just test it and then I'm gonna correct that particular intent. I'll say add 5 to 1 and the result is saved as 6. I'm gonna say add 5 to it. And you can see, okay, it's coming correctly now. I'll just go and uncomment this thing. Let me recheck everything is correct. Okay, now click save. Okay, now let's do it. Let's add 5 to 1. And you can see the result is 6. Add 5 to it. And now you can see the Alexa responding as that the result is 11. So this is the thing that you should take care when you are passing the variable. Always before giving the response, you should save the values to the attributes, because after that it will not come in our response JSON which you see right here. So I think that's it. Any questions regarding the skill, Rajat? Rajat?
Yeah, Viral, no questions as such.
Okay, so we'll be creating few more skills and we'll be updating this particular conversation on YouTube. I think the next skill will be like to how you can create an IoT based skill. That would be very good options to tell the users, right?
Yeah, Viral.
Sure. So soon we'll be planning that. Thank you for watching this video. If there's any questions, you can tell me. You can just write it on the comment section. Thank you.